Hi, if you're here to see how I created this card using two stamps, then you're in the right place in the right craft room. My name is Sue, and I look forward to showing you how I created this card using a couple stamps, one from LaLaLand Crafts called Marci Cowboy Boots, and the other one from Gina K called Sophia Pig, and that's where I got the puddle. I do like to show how I color these things. It's fun. If you're a beginner, don't worry about having these stamps. I'm not here to give you a tutorial on exactly how I do things. I'm here to just give you some fun advice on what I did and the colors I used. Now, I did go into Google search, Google or Safari, whatever you have, to look up January and some of the things that are relevant to January. And that includes colors and flowers and national holidays. I like to do that each month to get started on what I kind of want to build upon for the month. And for January, the colors are blues. I think there's a dark red, some browns, and that's kind of where I was going with this card. Also, there's some national holidays, and one of them is National Step in a Puddle and Splash a Friend Day. Now, I am making this card for a friend, and I thought it would be fun to kind of let her know that, hey, have some fun on your birthday, enjoy the day, and splash in a puddle. And so that's what this card was all based upon. Again, I'm here to just give you some guidelines. If you haven't used these colors before, this is a great opportunity to see what they look like. I don't have a lot of Copics and I don't have a lot of Copic skills, but I do enjoy coloring and crafting, and I hope you can enjoy this video watching me do that. As far as the puddles, I wanted a gray puddle. I don't know, I always see blue puddles, but in real life, they're not blue. They're always a dark gray or a black. So I was kind of going, I started thinking I wanted blue, and then I was like, no, I want it to be a gray feeling to the puddle, kind of a darker puddle. I know it sounds funny because we think of puddles as being blue, but when you go outside, they're never blue. So I took some grays and I started with that, and I added some blue in there, just thinking that maybe that would kind of blend a little bit and give it that blue gray, because I don't have a lot of colors, but I just kept going back and forth with the B45, the N0, the N2. I think I added the BG72 just to kind of gray it up. I didn't want to make it a black puddle, and I didn't want to make it a brown puddle because then it's mud. And I didn't really want that. I just wanted it to not be a bright blue, what looks like more if you're in the ocean or a lake, and this is just on the ground. So I went back and forth with this and ended up with this color, and I ended up bringing back the blue because I just felt that it needed it, but I was really going for more of a gray. And then I had some spots that were not stamped, so I went in with the Copic pen and filled those in just to finish the design, and then I went back with the BG72 to kind of darken it up. For her boots, I wanted a brown bottom boot, so I added the E39 on the bottom. But then I also knew I wanted a pink boot. I felt Marci should have pink boots. So I used the RV69. So I did the dark red or red violet for the tips, and then I went in with the pinks and did that. I have the RV13, which is a kind of a red violet, a light pink, kind of staying in the same family as the RV69. And then I shaded it with a little bit darker shade in the RV family. It doesn't really show up much, but there's a little bit of shading that I did between. I just kind of highlighted to make it look a little bit more of depth for her boots. And I kind of wanted Marci to be in the pink. I just felt little girls playing in mud should be pink. Pink with white dresses. So that's kind of where I'm headed with this. And here I've got the white dress, and with white, I thought I should do some gray for the shadowing to bring out the white. So I used the N0 in here just to highlight all the edges within that. And I kind of went around all the dots. She has dots on the top and the frills. And then I kind of went in a little bit thicker. Now also when you see white, I see some yellow in there. So I added the E000, which is the lowest color I have for the earth tones, and kind of thought maybe it needed more yellow to bring out the white and the gray. I don't know if I needed to do the yellow, but by the time I'm through, because I was thinking, okay, the little girl, what does she do? She's in the mud. So I wanted more, I needed to have some mud splatter. So I added the E11 to make that yellow a little bit darker. And I keep going back and forth with the end because I felt that the bottom of the dress of a little girl is always going to be muddy. And I just wanted some mud splats on the white. So I kind of went back and forth with those three colors till I was happy with the color, and it still stayed as a white dress, but probably could have done a little less of the E00 and just stayed with the grays. And then I went in with the E11 on her sleeves, figuring if she's been playing in the mud, she's got dirty sleeves. I think I just went to my childhood and what I thought. So I just played around with the colors. And then for her hat, I wanted to stay with the matching of her boots. So I used the same color for her headband as I did for the boots. I tried to figure that the shadow was up on the top of her head, so I stayed with the lightest color on the top, and then I went in with the sides a little bit darker and tried to blend those out as best as I can. There is a lot of back and forth with these colors to blend it out. I probably could have used a lighter pink, but RV13 is the lightest I have. Then I went back with that same RV69 that I used on her boots to do a darker shadow along the headband sides. And I also do the top, thinking that that's where the shadows or the dark spots would be. And I just keep playing around with those colors. And I did do the RV69 on the top here. I don't know, I thought that that's where you do it. I just thought that's where you put it. Well, I didn't really care for it just being on the top like that. So I do go in and do the sides and kind of go back around and make it look like it's all the way around instead of just on the top, and go back and forth with the pinks to kind of blend that out. I would think I probably should have another RV color that's in between the RV25 and 29 and the RV69. There's not quite a really smooth blend, but that's, what I was going for with the pinks on her headband. And all in all, I think it came out good. I think you're starting to see that they match at least, which was the goal. For her hair, I decided to do a brown, and I started with the lightest color, E11, trying to stay cohesive with all the colors that I use and try not to bring in too many different colors. So I went back and used the E11 and just put first where I think the highlight should be. And then I went in and just kept playing with browns, different colors to get the highlights and the coloring in the place that I wanted. I am not real strong at using the flicker motion, so I kept going back and forth. I'm still very heavy-handed when I do that process, so I have more of streaks versus flicks. And there are so many more talented coloring people out there that can show you how to use the flicking motion. But for here, I just wanted to show you that's what I was going for, and this is where you would use it if you were going to color hair. It's the perfect method for this process. So I started with the lightest color, then I went in with the E34, a little bit darker, the E23, then I went in with the E34, just kind of building up the coloring. And then I go in with the E39, and I still wanted to leave the highlight, the very first one I had of the E11. But I felt that as I brought in more browns, I was kind of losing the highlight that I was looking for, but I just kept going back and forth with the different colors and trying to use that flicking motion throughout her hair. I wish I had, if I was having this kind of a bad hair day, I would have put a bonnet over me. But I just kept going on and just kept trying to get the right coloring that I wanted, going back and forth. And she ended up much more of a brunette than I had intended because my colors just kept overlapping each other and covering up all the flicking motions that I had. But at least the highlights did stay there a little bit. You can kind of see that she has highlights. So I just kind of stopped before it got worse and decided to go into her face area. Now I didn't have a real light pink, so I used the Earth Tone R01, which has a little rosy, and I used that for her cheeks. And then I kind of like drew out where the nose highlights would be. It looks more yellow here using the E0000. It looks very like a yellow color and blotchy, but by the time you blend and add more colors, you'll see that it kind of blends in better and better. You're just putting the color on there to help blend with other colors. Then I added a little darker color, which is the cream color, EOO, and it kind of added a little bit more depth. I just did it in the shadows around the edges, keeping that EOO in, or the EOOO in the very center of each area where it would be highlighted the most. For her neck and some of the darker areas, I went in with the E11. Again, I'm staying with those colors that I already had, and I used the E11 on her legs as well for the shadowing. I did use cream on the legs as the base and just kept going back and forth with those colors. Her lips, I went in with the R01 to give it a base, and then the RV13 to kind of pink it up a little bit. And then I blended it out till I liked her face. And here I go back in with the E29 with the hair because I just wasn't feeling the love. And I thought if I added a little more streaks and a little bit more flicking, I'd get more of that color that I was looking for with the highlights. And that's kind of how I ended with her hair, with a little bit of a dark streaks. And I think it came out. She's starting to have a little bit more pizzazz. I was kind of pleased with it at this point. And it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to continue flicking in the E29 and just figuring her hair is what it is. And I kind of like the way that kind of turned out for that. And you can still see the highlights. And I did go back with the hazelnut and just kind of lighten up those, kind of blend them a little bit so they just not up, stop and start. Just kind of blend, and you still see the highlights that way. So I go throughout all of her hair and just kind of blend it all together. So overall, I thought it was pretty good for that. And then here I went in and I took a stencil that's a brick, and I used the fired brick Distress Oxide and went around the edges. I thought that she should be behind a brick wall or in front of a brick wall with the puddles. And I love this fire brick and this stencil. To me, they just go together so well. I just love the combination. Well, wasn't that fun watching Marci come to life? She has such sass, as the stamp set says. It's just fun to color and watch and see what happens as you do that. So I hope you get a chance to get out and color an image like Marci or something that you have that you can watch come to life. Now, to finish off the card, I did adhere to some dark gray cardstock. Also, I created a label on my Cricut because there is no stamp set that says National Step in a Puddle and Splash a Friend Day, January 11th. So I created that on the Cricut, used the Armadillo pen and printed that out with a font. I'm sorry. Between the time that I was coloring, I was eating some chocolate covered almonds. That's part of crafting. I attached the label with some brads. Now you could use some emerald dots or something else that you have. I happen to have some brads that I don't use very often, and they had little buttons, and I thought that would be cute for this card with Marci. Again, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the coloring and you get a chance to go out and splash in a puddle and enjoy some time with some friends and family.